next speaker is Danielle Baez.
Hello, Mr. Hill. I want to first say that you throwing out how this only cost BUSD $10,000 only further reinforces exactly why Judge Murphy awarded $3.2 million to the law offices of Victor George in the first place. A case like mine, 95% of attorneys out there wouldn't have taken it on because huge JPAs, like the one Burbank is a part of, will drag on a legal battle for almost a decade. Applebaum, I am disappointed to read in Cal Lawyer that you are quoted as, you wouldn't want this to become a regular thing. What regular thing is that? Whether or not you believe me, the message that's being sent to women in our community, to young women that are joining the workplace for the very first time, is that if you are sexually harassed, working in a hostile work environment, the message you send by dragging somebody through a 10-year legal battle is to shut up and go away. My name is Danielle Baez, and I have wondered for almost a decade as to why it seems to me that Ms. Damanian has made this very personal. Once again, without attorneys such as Victor George, Wayne Smith, Norm Pine, those that came to my aid to champion and be there for me, this would have all been buried. As much as the board may not want to hear my name anymore, the feeling is mutual. It is so hurts, bothers, still brings tears to my eyes to hear my name all over. I don't make comments in the paper, I don't make comments to blogs, but my name is everywhere. And after 10 years, I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. So when you sit there and you say that you hire the JPA meetings that I actually attended, so I know how it works, when you want to pretend that this doesn't actually end up costing Burbank for more, we all have insurance. When you get into a car accident, your rates do go up. So the fact of the matter is whether or not each and every one of you, and actually I know that the majority of you here are new, Applebaum just being from that older legacy, transparency is important, and transparency did not happen through this case. All I want to sit there and say is the minimal amount of money that I was actually awarded no way compares to not having Nancy Dominion a part of my life anymore. Judge Murphy went and made comments the way that she did because of just how brutal what it is that I had to go to. And again, you guys will all note that I don't make public appearances and I don't say anything. The one thing that struck me in the trial, according to Judge Murphy, that I remember to this day is the superintendent of the Burbank Unified School District. I think she has a PhD, sitting next to Miss Damanian, and they were both looking over at Miss Baez, laughing at her with a mocking manner, and I called that out. That's a quote from Judge Murphy. Your superintendents are your voices in the community. I've heard a lot of good things about you, Matt Hill, about wanting to be transparency, and I really hope that that's true. But as a female in this community, when you say it's only $10,000, there's a bigger message that's being sent. So again, whether or not that you sit there and you believe me, the last thing that I want to sit there and say, again, a quote from Judge Murphy, this case has involved some of the most brutal, hard-fought litigation I have ever seen in any case, employment or otherwise. We have a public entity funded by taxpayer dollars, the taxpayers of the city of Burbank, and for whatever reason, the Burbank Unified School District has decided an elected or appointed official to retain Ms. Damanian's law firm, and the litigation has been replete with rule violations, necessitating an extra time. So if you aren't the client having any opinion on all of this, you're saying that you too are victims by the JPA and Nancy Dominion? I find that really hard to believe. So again, it's not a question of whether or not you believe me or not. I really don't like seeing my name in blogs. I really just want this to be the end. To never hear Nancy Damanian's name again would be phenomenal. I don't work at the school district anymore. I'm still a part of the community because my point was teaching my girls that when bullies come after you, you stand up, so I stayed. So each and every one of you, when you make comments, you're making comments about my life, something that I just never even wanted to be a part of in the first place. So as all of you sit there, I wanted to put a face to the Baez name that each and every one of you have had a say in. And again, I realize that the board has changed, and I just hope and pray that it's a much different mentality, transparency. I've heard very good things about you, Mr. Ferguson, and again, Mr. Hill, I've heard very good things about you. But when you go to the JPA and Ms. Damanian, you remember this face. 10 years, not one single one of you would want to have your life ripped apart the way that I have. 3 trials, 1 mistrial brought on strictly because of Ms. Damanian. That wasn't my choice.